Hello, I'm Dacia Posner, and I'm sitting here with Tome Cousin, who is the 2020 winner of the Atha Ellen Stewart Award. And I just wanted to ask you some questions. It's such a privilege to be able to speak with you today. And I thought our membership would like to hear your thoughts on a few things. But beginning with you, what made you fall in love with the theater? Why did you become a theater and dance artist?
That's a longer story. I'm going to try and condense it down. But when we're talking the 60s now, like the very early 60s. When I was growing up, I was trying to deal with a duality of language and between English and German. And there was a little, brainwave thing going on there. And I just kind of got frustrated with it and I stopped talking. So there was a period where I did not visit, I just didn't speak. And my parents were just fighting for anything to bring out, my confidence in verbiage. But they tried everything. I mean, everything was tried. And eventually eurythmics was like the movement therapy of that. And I took to that really well. And I just started expressing myself that way. And so they figured out that movement might be something that might interest me, music and movement, the combination of the two. And just having professors, and I'm calling them professors now, but they were just teachers, then work with me individually. That one-on-one trust thing was established very early in me. So that teacher-student dynamic of help, of expanding knowledge and sharing became like something that's just in my DNA. And so from that, eventually I did started speaking. And then my parents took me to see a lot of theater because I really took to that. And I just saw a production of Pearly. I saw an early production of Hair when I was a young kid. And I just identified with the energy and the performance element of something and the give and take, again, of something from live to me that I could possibly like a lot, And that just stayed in my DNA again. It's just a slow build. And ultimately, I ended up in a children's dance class at a recreation center in 1968 and it was just an extracurricular activity, this dance class. And it just happened to be like a Dunham class, which I did not know, Catherine Dunham class. I did not know her name or anything, but we had it every day. And I don't remember the time of the length of the class or anything like that. But at the end of the summer, there was going to be a little production and it was going to be a class, which I'm assuming they were calling a master class at the time, but it was a class, a guest artist was coming in. And it just happened to be Jeffrey Holder. And so he came in and he taught this one class and I was singled out for dancing and movement. And he gave a little certificate. And so I think that was where everything kind of converged and kind of came together because I knew him. We all the little kids knew him as being the Uncola man on the 7-Up commercial. This big, gigantic, and here's this gigantic man with this booming voice, and he was calling me like a little prince of the theater, and he made us walk around with all this confidence. And I'm getting emotional about it now because that just, something just clicked in there, again, with someone sharing information to me or to anybody to grab hold of about confidence. And that's how I got it. I mean, that's how I got in. And a longer story wrapped around, I went to New York. I took one of the early, I think I'm one of the very first 5 of the original Alvin Ailey school students in this, what was not the school, it just was the studio. And W. Williams was the teacher, and he just had us marching around the room doing stuff, and Mr. Holder would come in every now and then. And it just kind of stuck. I knew that movement and theater and excitement of that and the education thing just was going to be my life.
Hmm. So one of the things I find really inspiring about your work, because, I myself am also somebody who wants to be multiple things in the theater, but the way in which you've done that, you're a dancer, you're an actor, you're an artistic director, you're a teacher, you're a writer. What do you find for yourself and also for theater more broadly, the value of artists who have these multiple perspectives is?
To be able to communicate it, to be able to communicate and speak all those different languages in any situation and understand and respecting the discipline of each of those and know that inside of each of those disciplines, there's a whole set of rules and interests and sharing that go, and they cross over a lot. They cross over more so than we know they do. So I think to have that knowledge is wonderful. I mean, why stop at just being a one thing, you know, and just keep going, because we're always going to be learning, always, you know. I mean, so I'm going to be questioning and wanting to see. I mean, when I was the dancer, and, you know, in tech rehearsals, when you kind of sit there and you're waiting for the lights to get done, and you're waiting, you know, everyone's kiki ha 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 and all that stuff. I would sit there and stretch, but I literally watched the lighting board and how they put it together, you know, and then I would just I would ask, wait, can I sit here and watch? And yeah, and so I just learned how to do lights and how the body had to be lit, you know. So it was like that. I think it's terribly important and easy to do. It's not even hard to do. It's very easy to just say, oh, I'm going to keep my eye open, you know, and kind of look.
Mm. So there's so much conversation right now about what theater is and how we have to rethink it in our current moment. What do you wish in this moment of transformation? What do you wish for the theater of the future?
That it reach a place of complete equity for everyone. That is not even conversation anymore. It's just there. I know we have to get there through conversation, and some of them may be different, the conversations of knowledge, but being open-minded to realize that the end goal is what we're after. You know, so I don't think it's about blaming people right now. I think it's about helping people see to get to the end goal. And that includes race, sexes, disability, ageism, I mean, across the board, because once we just settle this one issue that we're talking about right now, there's many more, you know. So I think everyone has to kind of go, oh, this is just the beginning of the work, you know, and we have this portal of time right now that, as opposed to people saying, oh, I can't do this and this is closing. And yeah, sure, that's the fact of it. Now let's go to the other half of it. What's the outcome that we really want, that we can benefit from this time? What can we think about? What can I read about? What can I watch? You know, since we're zoomed out, you know, and we're sitting in front of our screens, let's watch a little something and find out, you know, who these people are and what their work is, and I can learn. So I'm ready and armed to come into the conversation, as opposed to saying I want, as opposed to we want, or we should have, you know, like the we, I think.
I love that. Thank you. And then in a related moment, on a related theme, you know, there's so many theater students right now, and there's so many emerging artists who are just at the beginning of their career, who feel the anxiety of there not being work, but also feel the opportunity to fundamentally reimagine the theater, you know, along the lines of what you're suggesting, you know, a time when diversity is just a fact, right? What would you like to say to those young artists? What would you say to your seniors who have just graduated? What would you say to your students coming in? What would you say to those young artists who are trying to find work right now in this current moment?
It's challenging. It is very challenging because it's an unknown, you know, date or period when we're coming back, or how it's going to come back, or what it's really going to look like. I do believe that this digital world that we've just taken in is going to be part of that conversation. So I would not think we're going to go back to an old way. I think it's going to be a part of, and going forward, I would strongly suggest to keep your eyes open and be prepared, because I think my real hope is that for you, each of you out there, that when it comes back, whatever it is, it will come back fast. So be prepared with whatever armor you have. And that means your creative work. So create now, write, even though you may be a dancer, write about movement. Find out how difficult that is. It really is difficult to write about movement, you know, besides watching. If you're a songwriter, if you're an educator, read and be prepared, because I think it's going to come back fast. And for right now, right this very moment, I would say for young students who are just feeling kind of lost, you may have just graduated from school, you may have, and what am I stepping into? Or you're just saying to yourself, I want to get into the performing arts, but there's nothing solid and concrete right there. You are the tools. You know, you are the very tools of what you're saying. So you can create anything. You can create work. It does not have to be on a stage right now. It can be in your living room for your family, for your friends. You can do it for yourself. Look in the mirror, create something. Do pantomime with your hands, your fingers. Be creative. I mean, figure it out because you are much more creative. I'm going to take that leap and say, you're much more creative than I am. And I have a phrase I use all the time. If I had done it, you can do it better.
I love that. Thank you so much. What a wonderful note to end on. Congratulations again on this well-deserved honor, and thank you for talking today.
Thank you very much. It's an honor.